The next step is what is the procedure we have to follow to create the fragment class. So now that we have created our fragment layout XML files. So now let us create the coding classes for these fragments. So for that we have to follow so you should go to the Java folder of your project and open your application package. See, for example, com.example.myFragment applications. Okay. So this will be displayed. Then you have to click, you have to right click on the package. Then you have to choose the new button. Then select the Kotlin class, okay, Kotlin class or file. Then again you have to type the name as a fragment1 and select the class as the kind. Similarly, create the another Kotlin class named the fragment2. Now, we will write the code inside this fragment class so that they can load their corresponding XML layout files. Okay. So, next we will move on to the part 2. So, here the code for fragment1 dot Kotlin. Okay. So, dot kt refers a Kotlin. So, in this code, we created the class fragment1 that extends the fragment class, and we override the onCreateView function. So, this function decide what layout will be shown when the fragment is displayed. So, inside it, so we use the inflator.inflate method. So, here we pass a layout file name r.layout.fragment1. So, which means this fragment will display the design defined inside the fragment1.xml. Okay. Then the part 3, what we have to do? So, here the code for fragment2.kt is there. Okay. So, what we are doing here is similarly in the fragment 2, so we again extend the fragment class and override the onCreateView method. So, this time we inflate r.layout.fragment2. So, which means this fragment will load the layout defined in the fragment2.xml. So, now we have two fragment classes and each connected to its respective layout file. Alright learners, now that we have created the fragment1.kt and its layout, we need the container where the fragments will live. So, that container is our main activity. The layout file for the main activity is called activity main.xml. Okay. So, inside this layout, we can either embed the fragments statically using the fragment tag or provide the containers like the fragment layout to load the fragments dynamically at runtime. So, for now, let us do the static fragment example. So, here the steps we have to follow are, so first we have to create the activity main.xml. Okay. So, for that, so we have to follow the steps of, first we have to start the Android Studio, then go to the application, then we have to select the src folder, then afterwards we have to select main. Okay. So, under this main folder we will have a res folder. In the res folder we have to select the layout. Okay. So, suppose if the file is not created, so that time you have to do the right click. So, that time, so we can see the new option. In that new options, again you have to select the layout. Okay. So, in that layout, so we will see the one dialog box. In that dialog box, we have to select the resource file. Then afterwards, you have to enter your name of the file. So, here the name of the file is activity main.xml. Okay. Then, so here the root element is, so we have to choose the linear layout. Okay. Then afterwards, you have to click the OK button. Now, the static fragments example code is actually, so we have created the linear layout which is a root element. Okay. So, now the linear layout is used with a horizontal orientation. So, the fragments sit side by side. Okay. At the same time, so we have a fragment tag also there. So, it embeds a fragment statically in the layout. Then the Android name, right. So, here this will must point to the full class name of your fragment. See, for example, com.example.myFragment application.fragment1. Okay. So, this is the name of the applications. Afterwards, we have a layout weight is equal to 1. So, this makes both the fragments share the equal screen space. Okay. Then next we have a main activity. So, actually our main activity dot kt remains very simple. So, because the fragments are already declared in the XML. Okay. So, now you will when you execute this file, you can see the result. When you run the applications, the main activity loads the activity main.xml. The system automatically instantaneous the fragment 1 and the fragment 2. Then you will see the two fragments side by side inside one activity. So, when you execute this file, the left side of the screen shows this is a first fragment. So, with a green background, and the right side shows this is a second fragment which is the golden background. So, thus we have successfully added the fragments statically using the Kotlin language. Okay. So, let us recap. A fragment is a modular user interface component inside the activity, and each fragment has its own XML layout and Kotlin class to display the fragment, override on create view and inflate the layout. So, we can add the fragments statically in XML using the fragment tag. So, in the next lecture, we will learn how to add the fragments dynamically at the runtime using the fragment manager and the fragment transactions in the Kotlin. So, that is all for the today lecture on static fragments with the Kotlin, and make sure you practice by building this project step by step. So, once you are comfortable, so try changing the layout and observe how the fragments behave differently on the phone versus tablet. So, thank you for watching. See you in the next session. Happy learning.